One of the most important steps to hooking up with a girl, whether you just met her or if you've known her for a long time, is you need to make her feel comfortable, okay? And one of the best ways to make a girl feel comfortable is to make her feel safe. Now, obviously, unless you're fucking crazy or a piece of shit, every girl who's with you is safe. But she doesn't know that, right? That's why people go on dates. That's why girls take time to decide to come home with you. A lot of times they're just like, I don't know this person. They're a complete stranger. So she needs to make sure, and she makes sure by asking questions, watching your behaviors, sometimes testing you, and just feeling you out to see if there's any weird signs or flags that let her know, stranger danger. And so in that process of screening you out from a potential crazy person and just seeing you as a guy she's attracted to, you are going to have to do a job of letting her know that she's safe, right? Because like I said, she is safe around you, unless you're fucking weird. But she doesn't know that. A lot of what we call seduction and social skills, like making bonds and connecting with people, is just because something is in your head doesn't mean she magically knows it. And just because you say it doesn't mean she magically knows it, right? People present themselves all the time in their best light. And you should obviously make the best case for yourself. You don't, if you're trying to sell something, you don't go up to someone and say, hey, it's pretty mediocre, right? You're going to say, hey, this is great. You should try it. And that's what you're doing when you're dating. You're selling yourself, right? You're marketing yourself and you're selling yourself. Marketing is the packaging and the vibe and the kind of language around it. And then the actual sale itself is the talking to the person and getting them to eventually say yes to buying it, right? So when you're on a date, you're talking to her, building a bond, you have to know how to take the truth that she is safe and let her know she's safe. Now, you don't obviously I don't know, live stream yourself, be like, okay, you're safe because there's 500 people watching this, or I don't know, right? It's fucking weird. So in the absence of that, you just have to make her trust you because she should, because you're a nice guy, right? Now, once that's established, then you start the seductive process, actually making her feel turned on, because just because she feels comfortable doesn't mean she is going to have sex with you. But that's one of the first parts. You don't really get to the turned on part before the comfort part. There might be some, exceptions to this. Like, I don't know, a girl sees you in a club and she's just really fucking attracted to you. And, you just lock eyes and you walk up and you just feel this intense fucking horniness for each other. And you just start making out. And then, you grab her hand and you take her behind the fucking club and you push her up against the wall and you raw dog her and then you come inside her pussy, right? Some fucking really rare, hot thing that can happen, right? Like I remember there was this, I was at Taco Bell after the club and I saw this girl outside and she just locked eyes with me and I was just like, come here. And she came inside and she's like, hi. And I'm like, hi. And I could feel the vibe, right? And she's like, it's my birthday tonight. And I'm like, oh yeah? And I bring her to me and I just start making out with her. And then she had a really nice body. And then she saw my friend and she was like, oh, you're really hot. And I'm like, okay, whatever, And so I bring her to him. I'm like, look at this hot little girl. And I fucking spin her around and I spank her. I know this sounds like fucking, if you haven't lived this life, then you're like, what the fuck is going on? But once you become a really sexual guy and you start recognizing signs of attraction and you're, a little bit more liberal with your sexuality, these things kind of seem normal, right? And so my friend was like, oh yeah, she's got a nice ass. And she's like, oh, I like your tattoos. He's a really good looking guy. And I'm like, hey, if you can get her, it's my buddy, go for it. But he didn't, probably he could recognize that I was going to get her. But he didn't have that tiger instinct. So whatever. And then she turned her attention back to me. And I think I said something like, what are you doing for your birthday? Blah, blah, blah. And then I just randomly asked her, I was like, you ever had sex in public? She's like, no, but it's on my bucket list. I'm like, okay. I just grabbed her hand, took her outside, walked one block behind, I think it was a bank, and then just pushed her up against the wall, dropped her pants, raw dogged her, right? it's some of you might, be like, that's really stupid or whatever. Hey, it was fun. It was a cool experience, right? That instance, did she know I was a safe person? Did she know I wasn't going to be crazy, this and that? There's not a lot of time for her to make that decision, right? But from the outset, I probably had a relaxed, chill vibe, so she immediately felt comfortable enough, right? But I wouldn't really say that I did much to make her feel comfortable. I mean, I was pretty aggressive. Like, she walks over to me, and I start making out with her, and then I spin her around and slap her ass, and I'm telling my buddy, like, yeah, check out this hot girl. Like, I'm kind of treating her like a whore, but that's what she wanted. She was feeling horny. She was feeling a little bit frisky. It was her birthday. Maybe she was fucking ovulating. Who the fuck knows, right? Maybe she's just a hoe, but whatever. I treated her sexually. She wanted to be treated sexually. We had sex. So outside of those situations, you're going to have to do some work to make a woman feel comfortable, right? So how do you do that? Well, generally, to make a woman feel safe, you have, I think I wrote a list of like the 3 safeties. Okay. So one, I call it the 3 safeties, right? And this will make a woman feel comfortable with you, because most of comfort is you feel safe. Like if you feel snuggled up in your room and it's warm, and there's, it's raining outside and thundering, but you're warm in your room and you have your lover with you, or your girlfriend or your wife, and you're watching a movie, you feel comfortable. And a lot of your comfort comes from feeling safe. But if you're a fucking squirrel who's outside and it's fucking thundering and raining, well, you're fighting for your life, like you're like, oh my God, what's happening? What the fuck, right? You're not going to feel comfortable. You're not going to feel relaxed, okay? So physically safe is one of the 3 safeties that will make a woman feel comfortable, okay? Now, like I said, she obviously is physically safe, but she doesn't know that she is. So we have to make her feel physically safe. And I'll go over that in just a second. Then you need her to feel safe from judgment, okay? This is very important. We've talked about this a lot in the past, and I've talked about it on Girls Chase, talked about it myself, and it's something that's very, very recommended if you want to be a lover, right? Now, a lot of guys are not lover qualities. A lot of men out there, I would say the vast majority of men, are more boyfriends. They tend to prefer long-term relationships. They tend to prefer order. They like when, you just meet a girl you like and everything works out and then you end up together and, Now, even those guys have their urges, right? But they lean more towards that nice, safe, and slow kind of lifestyle. So those guys tend to prefer order, and these are the kind of guys who hate the chaos of more liberal sexual norms, right? So if you go on social media a lot right now, in the past year, it's really ramped up. If you'll ever see like an ad from an OnlyFans girl on Instagram especially, if you open the comments, majority of comments are going to be, I bet your father's real proud, OnlyFans detected, opinion rejected, they're just shaming these women, okay? And they're coming from a place where they think their argument will be, this kind of sexual liberality has ruined Western culture and it's going to be the downfall and everyone's just obsessed. But then these guys are going to go and jerk off, right? They're going to watch porn. But hey, hypocrisy aside, their mentality is that they like order and they don't like when things are disorderly. And so when they see this disorder of, there's these guys out here that are fucking all the girls and turning them into whores and, and ruining society, their reaction is to shame, right? Now, on the extreme end, if you go to certain countries in this world, they'll actually resort to physical violence, right? And I'm sure you know what these kind of countries are. The super hyper conservative, where they'll kill people who violate these sexual norms. So it can be taken to the extreme. But just on the level of judgment, these men don't like liberal sexual behavior. But I'm sure, of course, if they were the ones who were being the target of these girls' lust, they would be less complaining, right? So a lot of it is just they're on the losing side, and usually the losing side is complaining a lot. But again, the hypocrisy aside, they judge. Well, if you're looking to have a girl fuck you on the first date or second date or third date, right, quickly, aside from the normal way to do it, where you talk for weeks and months and then you end up together and then you have sex, you probably aren't going to be very successful if she thinks you'll judge her. And a lot of times, when you're trying to fuck girls quickly, a lot of their reservations, aside from feeling physically safe, are I also don't want to be judged. Now, they obviously also want to secure a long-term relationship, right? But there is a separate issue where they just feel judged. Like, I would suck a lot of dicks and fuck a lot of guys because I feel really promiscuous and horny, but I don't because of the fear of judgment. Now, whether you say that that's, oh, it's moral and we should do that to keep society, orderly, or if you think, oh, it doesn't matter, we should all be free. I'm not talking about the morality of it. I'm just talking about the effectiveness of it. Like, are you going to be an effective, prolific seducer if you are judgmental of women? No. Right? I don't know any guys who are really good with girls who are judgmental of women. There's some guys who are kind of in the middle, but they usually aren't very successful. They're like middlingly successful. But really deep down, they're more of a relationship guy. I've known some of the guys like that, where they have a little bit of player in them, but then really when it comes down to brass tacks, they're more orderly and they prefer, monogamy, and they don't like the hunt of always trying to find girls, and they usually get tired of it by their mid-20s. So physically safe, she needs to feel. Safety from judgment, and then safety from boredom. That's another interesting safety. That has to do with more creating lust. But we'll go over that in just a little bit. I want to go back to physically safe. So obviously the girl is physically safe with you. But how do you let her know that? One of the biggest things is to don't get angry, especially when, she starts to lose interest or you get rejected from women. If you're at let's say you're at a club and you walk up to a girl and you get rejected and you get pissed. If another girl is watching that, she's going to go, okay, this guy's dangerous because he gets angry when he gets rejected. So what if I think he's attractive and cute, right? But what if I go home with him and he wants to have sex to me and then I reject him and then he gets angry? Now, is he going to do anything, I don't know, statistically or chances wise? Most guys, they're just going to get angry. They're just, they feel like their ego's hurt. But there is a small subset of men who are going to do something because of that. They're going to lash out, right? So when women see you get angry, especially surrounding rejection, when they're giving you signals that they're not interested and you maybe not do anything weird, but you continue to lean in a lot, right? Like the simple concept of push-pull, right? When a girl is interested, you push, right? You show more interest. You lean in more. You smile more. Like, it's just, push is just a metaphor. You give more. But when you can see she's pulling away, you have to pull away. You have to match her energy and her body language and her facial expressions. She stops laughing so much, showing so much interest, talking so much, giving you strong eye contact. If you continue to do that, it'll make her feel like, oh, he's not reading my signals. And if he can't read my signals well, that potentially has some dangerous consequences. So they're going to become exponentially more distant from you. Like if you chase after a girl who's actively kind of it's going to double the time in which she makes that final decision no, right? So when a girl is pulling back, you have to pull back. With how much you're talking, how much you're leaning in, how strong of eye contact you're giving. Your body language is very turned towards her, but you turn it away. There's a lot of ways that this is expressed, verbally and non-verbally. So you have to match her. She's away, you turn away. She's turned towards you, you turn towards her. You match open with open, and you match closed with closed energy, generally. So when you do this, when you match it properly, then she feels safe, right? But the third part, safety from boredom, that's important. When she is open, you're open and you push. Because if she feels open and she's happy with you, you should go for it, right? The general idea with seducing girls is you move as fast as she's okay with. If she's okay with getting raw dogged a block away from Taco Bell and she just met you 5 minutes ago, then go for it. If she has to wait, she makes you wait X amount of time, then you need to wait that amount of time, right? Of course, when you're done with that, you just stop trying. But you should try to push as fast as possible, because why not? Because if she's allowing you to do it, then she's clearly comfortable with it, right? So if you read the signs correctly and you seduce a girl really well and you're really charming and you're reading her signals, she might just like open the gate. She'll be like, hey, come on through. Now, she may not verbally declare that, because usually that's not how women operate. They're going to subliminally, indirectly communicate through their body language, through the way they respond to you. And if you read the signals, you keep trying, you go further, and she doesn't stop you. Or she stops you, you wait, and then, 10, 15 minutes later, you try again. Oh, now she's open to it because she saw how I reacted to it, that I relaxed and pulled back. Okay, then she'll just open the gates and boom, you can fuck her really quickly. First date, second date, third date, right? So that's keeping her safe from boredom. Because bored is like, okay, I want something to happen and it's not happening. So that requires seduction skills. So that's probably the hardest one to actually do, safety from boredom. But physically safe, that's pretty generally easy, right? But it still has to be shown to her. It has to be proved. Because like I said, I know in your head you would never hurt a girl, but she doesn't know that, right? So she has to test you and watch. Safety from judgment. This one is not as hard as obviously having the skills to know when to push and how far to push, but sometimes your judgments can leak through. Like, I had a client of mine, and he was on a date with a girl, and there was something that, she was talking about partying and stuff, and he was kind of looking for more of a long-term relationship. And she was talking about partying a lot and da-da-da, and he said that he kind of started to judge her. He's like, I kind of started to look down on her because she was a party girl. And he said that after she talked about this, her vibe kind of changed. Now, he's still trying to sleep with these girls quickly, but he still hadn't fully accepted women's sexuality. And like, if a woman wants to be a huge slut and a party girl, okay. She won't make a good girlfriend for the most part, right? Just the example I always use, and I like to use it, is you have a friend and you love that friend, but he's bad with money. You're not going to make this guy the CFO of your company, right? The chief financial officer, I think is what it means, right? He deals with the finances. He makes the big financial decisions. You're not going to make him that. You're not going to give him that position because he's horrible with financial positions. He just like spends money whenever he gets it, or he likes to gamble, or he's, an alcoholic, whatever. So same thing with a slut. Like, you're not going to trust her with the position of being a monogamous girlfriend, considering her habits. Now, she could possibly make a good one, but do you really want to, put your life savings on a 90-10 chance? No. Or a 10-90 chance? No. So, or even 5-95, honestly. No, right? But that doesn't mean you judge her as being bad, right? Being promiscuous is not evil. Cheating and lying is evil, right? But simply the act of having a lot of sex isn't necessarily evil, but it tends to kind of go with it. Not always, but you need to be able to separate that in your mind, right? And even if someone is evil, you can judge their actions, but you still shouldn't judge the person. That's very difficult. I don't even have that down completely, right? It's very hard to do, but I am better at it than I used to be. So when you see something that you judge a girl on, unless it is something that is very core to your values, okay? I'm not telling you that you have to change your values just to get pussy. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, if you want to get pussy, being less judgmental is generally the way to go. Now, that doesn't mean you don't stand up for yourself. That's not what I'm saying. And I'm not saying you change your core values. Like, if she says or does something that you truly, truly disagree with, like, if you are a hardcore liberal and she starts to say a bunch of conservative stuff that you really feel makes her a bad person, or vice versa, you're really conservative and she's really liberal, and she starts saying things that you think that, this is why society is failing, okay, then judge her. But you're probably not going to fuck her. Except in like the one circumstance where like you're so like, I don't know, strong in your frame that like she feels like, she submits to it. That occasionally can actually work. But for the most part, if you judge a girl, she's normally not going to want to fuck you, right? Because she's going to go into protection mode. Okay. Now, so that client, when a girl was talking about partying and he started to judge her, it leaked through. It probably was like, I mean, you're looking at the person, right? You're not very aware of how you look, but the person sitting across from you is very aware because they're fucking staring at it. It's very hard for you to be aware of your face and your body language, but you need to become a master of that because that's a lot of seduction. But he probably started to judge her, like looking at her like this and go, okay, And then he probably switched and started going back to seducing her after that. But she saw that. She was like, I started talking about partying and stuff, and then he started to judge me. Very clearly, she's not retarded. She could tell you were judging her. Okay. He's looking down on me. He's judging me. Her comfort. She no longer feels comfortable because she feels judged around you. Simple. So you're probably not going to sleep with her. Right. So you have to decide where you draw the line. And then anything that doesn't cross that line, you need to start letting it go. And you need to start training yourself once you see it and you feel that judgment arising. Be like, look, it's not so bad that I won't sleep with her. That's the only question you have to ask. Is whatever she's saying or doing or representing, is it bad enough that I don't want to sleep with her because I feel like she's evil? If it doesn't cross that line, then say, hey, that's her life, whatever. I still want to fuck her because she's got a fat ass, big old, biggie tibbies, right? Or she's got pretty lips and I want them to wrap around my cock, right? My judgment of her doesn't destroy my sexual urges. Okay. But if it does cross that line, then hey, you know what? Make your judgments and then, leave, right? Be like, hey, it's nice meeting you, but I feel like we're not really a good mix. Boom, leave. But most guys, I think that they, like the guys who shame girls on Instagram, they think they value their morality, but it's not really morality. It's just a way of protecting their ego from the fact that they're not the ones these girls are fucking. I think a lot of guys who shame women for being sluts would be a lot less shamey if they were the ones fucking those sluts, right? I'm not very judgmental of sluts because I was fucking a lot of them, and hey, it's great. Love them. Okay. So watch your judgments and watch how it comes out with your face, especially in your eyes, judgmental eyes, okay? And try to control it. And then safety from boredom, as I explained, is just knowing how to make those movements. But also safety from boredom is, are you just, you might have the seductive skills to know when to escalate, but you might just be a boring motherfucker in general. Like you don't have any opinions. Which sometimes opinions can conflict with being judgmental. Like, in order to have some opinions, you're going to disagree with some people. It's okay to have healthy disagreement. That's a little bit different than judging. Like, I've hooked up with a lot of feminists, right, who clearly I disagree with, but we still hooked up. Because I was able to argue with them and disagree with them in a fun, loving way. And that made me not super boring. And I remember there was one girl in particular, she was a feminist, and I was trying and kind of really stupid feminist. Like, she started saying some really dumb shit. And normally I would have started arguing with her. But I was in this period where I was like, oh, I need to stop being so judgmental. And so I didn't, fight her on it. And it felt weird. And I feel like she didn't respect me. And I feel like it was like I was one of those, I wasn't, saying she's right. But I wasn't trying to start shit. And I feel like deep down she didn't respect me. Like there was this weird vibe of and I didn't really get anywhere with her. I think all we did was make out. You need to have some opinions, but be careful with how you say them and how you express them. So having opinions that, being just a fun loving guy, being interesting and good conversationalist, that's important to safety from boredom. Let's see what else. Yeah, just having a fun energy, Like how I'm in videos. Like, hell yeah, and I'm fascinated with this topic, right? Because it's one of the things that has always, girls and socializing in general, video games and Buddhism. Everything else in this world, I really, really don't care too much about. These are the things that interest me, right? So I was very passionate about them. I was passionate about the truth, of different religions and philosophies, and then I found the truth, and I'm like, oh, now I'm really passionate about it. Girls, socializing, really, really obsessed with it. Figured it out, still like talking about it and make a living from it. Girls, yeah, just like fucking them, right? And video games, obviously. I love them. So being passionate about the things that you are passionate about, show it. Stop being boring, because boredom just fucking makes your pussy dry, right? But if you have all these things, she's going to feel comfortable. So she's not going to feel threatened by you physically. She's going to feel safe from judgment, right? She feels like she can be herself around you. And then safe from boredom. She's having fun. You get that down, she's going to feel comfortable with you. Then you can do the seductive process. Then it's your fundamentals, your attractiveness. You have some physical qualities she's attracted to. She likes the way your sense of humor, the way you dress, the way you express yourself, whatever it is. Then it'll be a safe field for those flowers to grow. But trying to plant flowers in a field of discomfort doesn't work. It's dead soil. So even if you have really good seeds that would create attraction, they can't grow because she's not comfortable first. So you have to create that comfort. And that's how you do it. Cool. So make girls feel comfortable and they will want to suck your dick. More likely to want to suck your dick. It's one of the necessary ingredients. So, yep, as always, in the description, you got my day game course, How to Meet Girls, literally everywhere and anywhere. It's the best thing out there when it comes to meeting girls. I very highly doubt there is a course as good at it as explaining how to take girls from being a stranger to wanting to go on a date with you in a simple 3 to 5 minute conversation. So check that out in the description below. Texting book. You suck dick at texting. I can guarantee it. Unless you already have my book, then you're probably a little bit better. And then if you practice enough, you're probably a lot better. So get that. It's on Amazon. It's super cheap. And then obviously private coaching. Send me a DM on Instagram. It is more expensive. A lot more expensive, but if you really want to see progress really, really fast and you have disposable income, that's the best way to do it. Okay, so my clients see a lot of progress really, really fast. We do usually I like to do 12 weeks, 3 months. That's like the most transformative thing you can do. You're going to completely change your dating life if you listen to what I'm saying and you put in the work, which most of those guys now do, and they see a lot of results. So shoot me a DM on Instagram and we can talk about it and have a call. And yeah, like, subscribe, ring the bell. You know the shit. Go fuck yourself. I love you. Goodbye.